Hey everybody, welcome back to Human Up TV's 1776 Now. Episode number 6 is going to be carrying on with the powerful energy we started to get into in the last episode, especially in calling out the normalized depression of our society, of our culture, the world over, but focusing on America. And the matrix effects, as we call it, the common cause to all of our dysfunctions and breakdowns. So we're going to go deeper into that today and explore, are we the land of ideology? So stay with us and we'll be back in a moment. Welcome back. Today we would like to start with a song. This is an original song that I wrote fairly recently. It's called Child of the Heart. And even though it could sound like it's about a child or children, it's really about all of us. It is about the kids. I wrote it was inspired, or rather I was inspired by thinking about what my son, who's 13 years old now at the time of this filming, and what he's been going through in the culture and interfacing with the culture, and really seeing in that talking about the normalizing of the dysfunctions of our culture, the way that we suck our kids into this space, and the disheartening, the normalized disheartening and demoralization and depression and just the overall effects of this long term, that we, even as adults, still have a child of the heart, so to speak. The child of the heart is the pure essence and soul of who we are, and how that gets put into a kind of trance and shut down, and we get used to that, and to the point where we forget that there's even anything missing. So this song really speaks to salvaging the child of the heart in all of us, but also protecting our children from and future generations from getting sucked into this anymore.
And I love this song now because, again, when you compose in the lyrics, you beautifully express the immediate motivation with your own being a father and your son. But as your father, and as a father to all our kids, that to raise a child here and knowing that this is where the child blossoms as a human being, the human up, right? Even though that we are all born into this culture vortex that holds us captive and sucks us in and normalizes us and acculturates us here, we're losing it if we don't have forces, parents, and education, and political leadership, and the right competent therapy to help save the soul of our kids, the child of the heart, the heart-centered human being. How do we save our kids? So one of the pathologies we left off at the end, and that's why this song is so apropos, is that the song is just looking at one aspect of a disorder of are we qualified to raise sacred beings, even though we know we're surrounded by the colonized matrix, deeply implanted in every aspect of our culture. How do we save ourselves and our children? And this song speaks of that beautifully. So let's enjoy it together.
Absolutely, and you'll notice in a lot of these songs, there's always that haunting call. You're not alone, child of the heart. It doesn't mean you've got Lego company, somebody keeping you company, so therefore you're not alone in this space. But it's really, when you hear that, you're not alone. It's the voice of this reminding us that we're all being held all the time by presence.
By the infinite source.
Yes, beautiful. So, enjoy.
Find time to find yourself right here, trying to climb to the light in a time eclipsed by so much fear. Ain't easier than ever to justify peace and now, right now. But don't you bow out just yet, my dear. When it starts to make more sense to join 'cause you just can't beat 'em. Easier to shrug your shoulders up instead of stand for your freedom, 'cause you don't wanna stand there on your own. Remember, you're not alone, child of the heart, you're not alone. Been here from the start, and you're not alone. Let your sorrow be gone. From the time you were old enough to know what it feel like to feel rejection, you were only in your single digits left when you learned to lose your love connection. You buck up, you man up, you take it, or you don't and you fall to the wayside. Not an option for a lover like you, so you put on your disguise and die on the inside. You barely can smile by the time you're grown. Remember, you're not alone, child of the heart, you're not alone. Been here from the start, you're not alone. No, you're not alone. You know it's just getting on. You gotta be brave these days to show joy anymore, but you gotta be joyful these days to be brave enough for what's in store for you. Yeah, if you dare to be true, yeah, but that's what we do. We dare to be true. How many times you gotta watch the summer of love go passing by like fireworks in the sky, followed by enough falling bombs, enough to make every ounce of hard-earned hope die. In humanity we been hanging on, but that people can't seem to rise to the occasion yet. No, we still not one nation yet. Ain't no corner of the earth anymore where we're not all together. Ain't no border wall that's tall enough to keep out that weather. But you don't wanna turn your heart to stone. Remember, you're not alone, child of the heart, you're not alone. Been here from the start, and you're not alone. And I say, you're not, you never run. You're not, you're never alone. You're not, you're never alone. Never alone. You're not, you never run. You're not, you never run. Never alone.
That really, to me, is a call for everybody to not let this go, to not let the soul go, to not let that call that there is something higher. And that's really been getting eclipsed and shut down. And again, I keep using the word, it's such a key word, normalized. We just keep normalizing it. What does that mean? It means we don't, what's wrong? There's nothing wrong. Yeah, sure, we got problems. There's problems in the world. This is going on, that's going on. Yeah, that's life. If we have you're only human. Those kinds of phrases really disempower us. And we want to do the opposite. We want to really, this whole sharing is about activating our true nature as not just American citizens. Of course, that's our focus here, but as people, as woke human beings across the globe. But America really being the beautiful land of the holy experiment, and there's so many wonderful, amazing, beautiful people here who want the world to be a better place. So let's go ahead now and really dive into the science here, and let's really look at how the matrix effects leads to to the depression, the cultural depression, and the division, and why ideologies seem to be combating, and why there seems to be polarization on every front. Let's really go into the science of that today. And just so happens I have an expert on the source science, as we like to call it, right here. So, Dad, if you want to take it and run.
Beautifully done to set the context, Nav, and to pick up from our last reflection where we talked about the matrix effect as being blind. We're blind because we're seeing here. The matrix, ironically, empowers us. This version of reason here is reason. It's where we make sense. It's where we have meaning. It's where we have truth. Our thoughts, we have thoughts that are true. I think that rain is falling and rain is falling. It back to the facts, and the facts reflect my thoughts, and I have thoughts about the world. And our language is about the world, and we describe the world, and we have information. Wonderful to have information, and we want to be well informed. We want the weather report. We want to know our history. We want to be informed. Also, we want to be informed about being awakening and awakened beings and spiritual and religious. Well informed in being a Christian, being a Jew, being a Muslim, being a Buddhist, whatever it is. So information is a very major step in our growth. But if we are lodged within a matrix that gives us the information and empowers us to see here, but cuts us off from growing and evolving into our natural maturation as logos sapiens, as awakened, mature human beings, evolve to love, evolve to democracy, evolve to USA, evolve to human up, and become the best versions of ourselves. Why? Because we're children of the source. We're children of Logos Sophia, and we're Logos sapiens. But here we're in a matrix that gives everything itemized and broken. So we saw that the matrix, which we cannot see, is running the show, and it's got us captive if we don't see it. And so we're colonized. And so the 1776, as we suggested, to remove the external monarchy from holding us captive is a preparation for the deeper monarchy of self-governance. Mm-hmm. We're being governed by a matrix that we have not faced, that is controlling every detail of our lives.
And the monarchy was a symptom of that.
That's right. The external monarchy.
Any monarchy or
tyrant, yeah, or autocrat or external ruler, dictator, right? Is a metaphor for the internal dictator, the internal. So there's self-governance here, behind this wall, still in the colonies, and so what we ended the last reflection of suggesting with medical ontology, and you wrote the word ontos. Ontology is being, and this is the space of being, right? Whatever name we use for the ultimate first is first. You can't reach the first here, and the first is the ground of our being, the foundation of all truth and reason and the light of reason and meaning and value. And so when we realize the source, what is first, is deeper than we thought here, right? Whether we use God names or any name for even reason, here there's something deeper, something higher. And the double bracket, it represents the technology of crossing from the unwoke de-sourced to the sourced. And what does it feel like here when you're one with the source, when you're in the zone? An athlete is the game. She is the running. The runner and the running. The musician and the song and the music are one. The I and the thou, the lovers, are connected in their otherness. A pluribus, other, unum, one. The love space, the marriage space, the peace zone, where we can be diverse and yet together.
One of the things I like, just a quick differentiation, this is I, it, so the other is always an it, which is like a word for an object. You know, we say don't objectify each other, but this way of being and thinking automatically makes self and other an object.
Objectified.
An object of the mind, of the consciousness. I, it, I, thou. So when you hear I, it, you know we're talking about the Lego relation. I, thou is the love relation, the woke, the mature version of relation.
Beautiful, because the other, whether it's God, whether it's nature, whether it's your significant other, your lover, whether it's another religion, whether it's your child, whatever it may be, the others, thou means I cannot split myself from him or her, or from nature. It's sacred space. Why is it sacred? Because unum pluribus rules. That unum pluribus is the law of the land. That means everything is connected. Imagine what that means. Space and time, connected. Mind and word connected. Word and world connected. Body, mind connected. I and you connected. One religion and the other connected. Everything is interconnected here. That's a beautiful, so relations here are in the zone, in flow. Relations here are in Legoland, you piece together. You know, I love you. I'm objectified. You're my child. I will raise you. You know, or I'm a Christian. You're a Muslim, for example, whatever. I'm a scientist. You're a religious person, right? I'm an atheist. You're a theist, right? And so we itify. Well, why do we do that? It's deeper than our intentions. The matrix does it.
Deeper than our intentions.
The matrix. We are good people, but we're using a matrix that by its nature is consciousness of, experience of, feelings about, talk about, Google space about, right?
Information about.
Right. And so the aboutness of consciousness, right? What is consciousness? It's consciousness of. Whereas this is consciousness from, right? It's consciousness, the flow here. It's not, so when Jesus, for example, said, I am the way, the truth, and the life, right? And if you love God, you love one another. Why? Because if you love and put God source first, you will see we're interwoven. Or the founders of the Declaration, we hold these truths to be self-evident. Right? We were endowed by nature's God, God's nature, with inalienable ontological rights, not political rights. We don't give each other those rights. They're given by our being. They're ontological rights, right? They're not for voting, right? And all humans are born in sacred space and reflect the infinite, right? So you don't have to be a religious person. Religion here, you can go beyond religion. And one of the themes that we're going to go into now in a moment is, what is ideology? People use the word a lot. Yeah, you've got an ideology, or we can say, oh, that's an ideological terrorism is an ideological extreme, or any religious extremism, right? Extremism is not a good thing, but moderate ideology, as if that's better. Well, it's different, and we want to talk about the wide spectrum of humans living here. From the greatest beautiful people, and artists, and scientists, and intelligent political thinkers, and academic intellectuals that show gifts of literacy and genius, all here. So the spectrum for people who are buried in an ideology, in a pathological sense, in which they are just dupes and gullible and fanatics. Fanaticism and fanaticism.
Yeah.
Cultism. There's a way to be in culture in a cultic way. Kind of Jonestown, blind, giving up your high noble cult reason and rationality here as a critical thinker. Why critical? Because you've got to be aware. When a person becomes deeply rational, critical, she becomes aware, wait a minute, I have a lens or multiple lenses. I've been making myself in my world and processing myself on the other, right? And wow, check it out. There is a matrix that I've been stalled behind. That's a great moment in rational maturation. Almost from a caterpillar to a butterfly, right? An ego pillar to a you-know-what, a Buddha fly to play with. You
Yes,
follow?
yeah.
You get liberated here. This is how you liberate from the colonized life. And we're suggesting that we haven't faced, that's the unfinished human revolution, the unfinished American revolution. Because our elders were calling us to the source of validity. This is where we get validated.
The source of validity.
That's right. The source. So when Jesus speaks, why is Jesus the truth? Because of the Logos. He's the Logos in the flesh. When Buddha speaks here, why is Buddha the Four Noble Truth? Because of the science, because of the Dharma. When yoga is to be taught, yoga, be one with Om, be one with Source, join it in union. This is the state of the Om union, the state of the American union, right? What validates that? You don't find, if you're cut off, you don't have the validity. You don't have the truth. They don't have science. So the ultimate scientific first science of all of the sciences and all of the disciplines and all narratives is to tap the Logos code.
And the implications are huge. If we're cut off, I mean, it seems like it could only lead in disaster, because if there is not a common, then it's gonna. How could it not turn into a kind of supremacy battle?
That's right. Why?
Because it's who owns reality.
And that's the story. Which story is going to win?
Yeah, exactly.
So science over religion. Science, we've got the facts. You know, religion is just superstition, or religion is just faith. It's not reason. You know, it's not based on truth by reason and empirical evidence and corroboration by scientific method, as if that's not an ideology too. Because scientific lens embedded within this form of rational development and cognitive literacy development of the word power, right? Imagine if science found the unified field, the grand unified field. If Einstein found the unified field that physics has been after for so long, and quantum theory and astrophysics are speaking about black hole and infinite density and non-locality and the butterfly effect, they're groping for, but you can't use this technology to get the unified field. As Einstein brilliantly said, problems generated, I'm paraphrasing, by the matrix cannot be solved within the matrix. You've got to really upgrade the technology of intelligence and reason to get deep science and cognition. This is the high knowledge here, double bracket knowledge, is when the knower and the knowing and the known find union. And that's the unum power. And that's to know the good is to be the good. To know the being is to be. To know is to be. You're not knowing about it.
And there's a point again that came up from last time about the difference between knowledge, double bracket knowledge, and what we call knowledge, which I would say is single bracket accumulation of information, knowing about something. It's like that Lucy movie where she goes to 100% of the brain and she turns into a hard drive. Sorry, spoiler alert. But that's what we think knowledge is knowing things, knowing about things, and we like to think that that's what having a grasp on reality is, having the information. Where if I understand you correctly, this is a direct knowing.
Yes, that's right. It's intimate because it's intimate. You can't know that from here.
Yes.
You've got to let this go, and that's courage, because there's a phobia about letting this go. This is what's familiar. This is my ID. I have my ID in the story I've woven and has woven me in here. And I could have multiple alternative stories, my religious persona, my scientific persona, my civic American, let's say, persona, my doing my yoga, I'm practicing my family, whatever it is, I can have multiple lenses and therefore multiple identities. But to give this up, right, feels like death. And I know you'll have a song coming up about hold on, let go.
Yes.
When you have faith, this is faith, to know that the infinite is real, to know that being has got you. Reality is here. It's here. It's not far away. It's all of this is right here. And to have confidence and faith that this is here, right, is what allows you to dare to have the courage to go to the home of the braves. You follow? And the land of the free. That's a big deal. And so it takes great courage to do that. The courage now is not to fight off an enemy in the battlefield externally, but to fight off the matrix within you and dare to have the courage to step up to being. Right? To step up to own plate, to step up to the bat, at own plate, so to speak.
Yeah, own plate, I like that. For own America.
For own run, going home, right? But the point is that all of our disorders, we've not seen the medical science, source science, gives us medical ontology, which means let's take a deeper look, not looking in here, which we're brilliant to look at, but look at the medical diagnostic, look at the psychological, psychotherapeutic diagnostic here. Look at the brain chemistry that's going on here, and what pharmaceutical medication might do and psychotropics can do to all the, we can do great diagnostic. Look at the economic inequality. Look at the racism. Look at the sexism. Look at the white supremacy or any supremacy. Climate change. But wait a minute. Could all of that be fallout from being fragmented and cut off from the healthful, integral flow of being and being woke? And what would America, what would culture be like? And our great teachers say, this is the peace zone. This is the ethics zone. We talk about moral leadership. Ethics here is a start, but ethics here to be one with the law. Not rules you follow. To be the Constitution here is not a set of rules of separation of powers, but you've got to become constitutional.
I like that.
We've got to reconstitute ourselves. That's why we must all become founders, co-founders.
Yes. And when you said earlier, these are our ontological rights, or the rights granted to us by being, life, liberty, well-being, happiness, and that we don't vote on that, but we do vote to protect that.
That's right. And we vote on whether we stay here or not.
Yes, yeah, right.
That's the real vote before us.
Yeah, exactly.
To become a citizen. We'll talk about later in this conversation. About what does it mean to be a really an authentic citizen, which is what an officer of the law, an officer of the Constitution, to take an oath, when you pledge allegiance to the flag of, in this case, United States, Unum States of America, and to the Republic, the Constitution to which it belongs, that's a republic, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. When you make that pledge, you're taking an oath of office. So being here in your own backyard, and as you say, we're normalized my world, I'm familiar with it. I grew up in it. This is my life. This is what I know, right? This is my lens, right? This is my story. Don't ask me to give that up. But if you're serving that, you're not serving this. So if you say country first, not your party, when you hear that talk, because parties are ideologies. So what we're working up to now, and we're covering so much, I know, and that's why we have the musical interludes to help us. But really we'll keep doing this in the next 2 or 3 sequels to do this, that the wide-ranging, this is the main point I'd like to just pass the baton to you, right? That if you look at my own personal psyche, you'll see all kinds of symptoms. I'm depressed, I've lost my way, I don't have a feeling, the joy, the joie de vivre, the joy of life. I don't have a raison d'être, a reason to be, because this is the reason to be. Right? Because if you're cut off in the cave, as Socrates would say, you're being cutting off from the juice, the voltage of life. And therefore you're disenchanted, you're depressed, and you're using it as psychological depression. It's ontological depression too. Your being is suppressed. You are caged. You're not free. And your meaning is that you have a life crisis. You did it all, but you're still empty.
And therefore, we have to compensate for that emptiness by creating all kinds of
to fill the vacuum.
Yes, exactly, and including our ideologies and our grasp on reality and banding with this we, just like the I is a single bracket, the we is a single bracket, and that we're because what I'm thinking about leading into Hold On, Let Go is this. I'm about to play a song for you called Hold On, Let Go. I wrote this about 10 years ago, and I played it for a friend, and he said, that's kind of confusing. It's like you're telling us to hold on, you're telling us to let go. We didn't have the decoder. We're saying hold on. The hold on part is to hold on
to the high self,
to the high self, to keep your eye on this on the source. You keep first putting this first. That takes intention. It takes practice. It takes a deep understanding. So in order to hold on to that, we also have to let go of this. And we keep on saying, why would it be, if this is so wonderful, if this is so beautiful, if this is what America's all about, and we say as people, we want peace, we want love, all this, one nation under God, indivisible. Why aren't we there already? And so, and it comes to this point that this song calls out, and I pulled from an old Zen saying, you have to die before you die. And that, again, it could sound confusing if you don't have the decoding, but they're saying the first die of that die before you die means to let go of this is like a death. To let go of this way of thinking and perceiving and being is a deep, profound letting go. And it is a kind of death. And to that extent, you used the word phobia a moment ago. That's what I wanted to segue into the song with. There's a phobia of this. But on the other side of that phobia is a profound, it's like the last song we played a few episodes back, walk through that door, there's so much more. That's the brilliant, exciting part of that. So I just wanted you to keep that in mind.
Just beautifully said. And this song, I guess we're going to get ready to go for the song now, right?
I think we should, yeah.
Yeah, so just to echo a little bit, this is a classical across the planet. Yahweh calls out to Abraham, let go of Isaac. Let it go. It's a kind of let go of your agenda so that you can put source first, the highest first. Love God with all your heart, right? Moses, the laws of God, the burning bush. Jesus, you got to die to be born again. Socrates, leave the cave and come into the Logos. Yoga, Krishna to Arjuna, you've got to let go, Arjuna, of this to really, and face the real battle inside of you, to come into the Om space and become a real human being, right? You've got to die to be born. You've got to sacrifice. The word sacrifice what? Sacrifice your attachment, addiction, to the comfort zone of the matrix that you didn't even know was there, right? They're trying these great teachers are trying to call us to attention. They didn't have fully explicit hologram to say, this is what we made. Don't we just let go of that, or let go of this, let go of this. Oh, that's like dying before you die. What's that? Resurrection. So when God sacrifices his son, right? Why? That we may be saved and rise in resurrection. to conquer death. Here. It's beautiful.
And for those of you who go, well, that doesn't pertain to me because I don't believe in religions or anything like that. Of course, that's not. We're not speaking for religion. We're speaking for the source of those religions.
For science.
But science, even science, has an unspoken or even spoken ethic to it. You got to let go of your opinion. You can't impose your opinion on reality. It's about getting to the truth through the scientific method. So even science, in a way, speaks to.
When I say science, I mean this.
Yes, exactly. The science of science. I'm just the point I'm bringing that up because there's a lot of people that may not relate to or write off all of those calls. But the call is not. It's bigger than religion or spirituality. Spirituality and science are both called to this higher.
This is
ethic,
huge. What
you
you're
will.
saying. In other words, all humans in this matrix, whatever your faith or ideology, we'll get this after the song, whether you're an atheist or a theist, you're in the same boat. Whether you're a monist or a pluralist, you're in the same boat.
Exactly,
Whether you're a
yes.
Republican or a Democrat or an independent, you're in the same boat. Right? You don't have to be religious. You could be a scientist or a spiritual, New Ager, same boat. Right? So the diversity here is real, but same boat means in your same matrix, you're on the Titanic together, right? And everyone's got to hold on, let go. Everyone.
All right.
Hold on, 'cause I need you by my side. Hold on, you got a reason for this life. Hold on when the pain lasts way too long. Free your mind from the right and wrong. Don't give up now, 'cause the story is about to get good. It never goes like you thought it would. But hold on like a lover holding on to you. This time we're gonna break on through. Hold on, let go. Die before you die, before the end of the road. Let go. Hold on. Open up your eyes, we're gonna turn it on. Let go, 'cause there's nothing like feeling light. Let go, it's the only way you're gonna take flight. Let go of your worries and your fears and cares. Give yourself a little love if you dare. You got a list of the possibilities. Burn it up, be surprised by the mystery. Let go and let go and let go again before you reach the end. Hold on, let go. Die before you die, before the end of the road. Let go. Hold on. Open up your eyes, we're gonna turn it on. Hey, everything you ever wanted hides behind a perfect fit. There's no getting around it. Open up your eyes, my friend. Got a maid sitting pretty in the sunshine. Anything it takes just to ease your little worried mind. But your prescription medication isn't working like it used to. So what you gonna do? 'Cause the life we're living, man, it's unsustainable. The dreams you're driven towards, they're unattainable. Unless you find a way to walk a path with other people trampled underfoot. Yeah, it's time to put your money where your mouth is. You're finding out this life is not a dress rehearsal. There's a necessary role reversal. A man's curse will be falling down. Goddess is coming around. You're finding out you've been living someone else's life. You realize there's no getting off of this ride. There's no other choice. We're gonna cross to the other side. Hold on, let go. Die before you die, before the end of the road. Let go. Hold
very powerful. The call. And you wrote that 10 years ago. You know,
Something like
you're
that.
living it. When I hear your songs, it just, it just resonates in the hologram of the call of the LUI. We're living under the influence of this call. Right? The infinite force. It's not gravity that's the greatest force. It's source is the greatest force. It's infinite. And it's pulling at every grain of sand, every grain of human, every iota of nature, every sub-particle is a God particle. We don't have to look for the missing God particle. Every particle is already.
Finally.
We are God particles, children
Yes.
of source,
Yes,
of the
yeah.
infinite right here. And so that call to let it go, you know, have the courage, to have the courage to be in the home of the braves, right? To come home to who we are in this evolutionary journey, to upgrade and human up. So how would you like to proceed now? I would like to have about 2 or 3 minutes, if I may.
Yeah, yes, absolutely.
I'm asking you this.
Absolutely. I was going to say,
I
want
have
you
something
to.
I want to say.
Good.
Since the end of last, I didn't. No, just jump in. I don't want to silence you, but I just want to just help people connect with Unum Power.
Yeah.
I'm trying to demonstrate source science, Unum Power, source vision, holo vision, holistic vision of what's going on in here.
Right.
And looking around, let's go in together. Look at my personal life and my inner psyche. Am I showing trouble of being desourced and living in Lego land and in pieces with mind bites and psycho minds and cut off from reality and myself and meaning and truth and value and goodness? Am I feeling that here? Yes. Right? Is my being compromised and broken in this little cage, in the cage, this colonized space? Yes, it is. Right? So there are all kinds of internal existential, philosophers call it existential, you know, of facing so absurdity, emptiness of meaning. If the lights are out here, reason doesn't work, right? And you're trying to find meaning. There's no reason, there's no point of. So that's why Camus says the only question of philosophy is to live or not to live. Why should I be if there's no point? If there's no reason, because the lights are here. So I'm going to feel the depression. And you can go to nihilism. So there are all kinds of, and if I'm living in my lens and I can't step out of my lens as a critical awakened being, then I'll be a narcissist, an ontological narcissism, right? And I'll be in solipsism, a degenerate form of the world is my world. Why? Because I have my perspective. And all you other guys and people in nature and everything other than me is other, and you're mine. I own you in my will, my lens. I process you in my factory, in my lens factory. These are degenerate forms of being. Right? It's not dialogue, it's monologue. You're mono. Mono is a virus. This code is a virus. And therefore the entire culture is suffering from a cultural virus. So that everywhere you look in the culture, whether your inner life or how about your interpersonal life, with your significant other, who you treat him or her, right? Whatever your sexual orientation. If you're othering and objectifying without even knowing it, yourself and the other, that's not love, right? That is objectification. So when you find a subtext of objectification, so objectifying the female worker in the workplace and the Me Too movement, everyone is trapped in a deeper sense in the objectification problem. I objectify my child. I objectify my co-worker. I objectify the other citizens around me because they don't share my views. So they're objectified. They're other. There's a fear of the other. I have fear of that other religion. I'm a Christian. And Islamophobia, the phobia of the other, the xenophobia, right, of the other. It's when that's going on, that's when you slip into wars. And that's when you slip into racism, of objectifying the other and making them subtext and subalterns, right? And you're the supertext and there's a battle for this space, all important. Here's where the action is of meaning and truth and narrative supremacy. So science says we have the facts, we are the, no, feminists, no, there's another way to have the facts, you know? So whatever your ideology, this is the point I'm segue into, that ideology is one of the sub-disorders and pathologies of being in this. It can be from your own inner life of depression and suicidal thoughts and addictions and opioids, and they have the gun crisis, you know, the gun crisis, and rage and taking it out on others, mass shootings, so the gun issues, here, opioids issues we're facing in the culture, right? The question of economic injustice, right? Why? Is it that capitalism is some universal truth? No, capitalism is one of the ideologies. Marx, communist ideology is ideology. Capitalism is one story about what's the most fair and just laissez-faire way to be in our political space, where we practice equality for all and equal opportunity for all, right? We treat our ideology as the ultimate truth. We treat our religion as the ultimate. So even though I'm worshiping God here, it's not the infinite source. God is greater than the God we would have in this ideology. Mm-hmm. So when we say ideology, we have to understand ideology spoken in the ontological space here is anyone and everyone is practicing the story they're living and the experience and world that's showing up for them with the lens or lenses that they have, and they privilege their lens because that's all they know. They haven't made a critical turn to step back and say, oh, I've been immersed in this colonized space, and I have a choice. I don't have to stay. As Buddha and great teachers say, you have a choice, your real choice. The real 2020 vote, for example, what's my vote? It's not just which candidate I'm voting, because that's not going to solve the problem. Whoever wins is losing. You can't solve, because you're going to be stuck with the polarity of ideologies. We're in an ideology war. It's a civil war, right? It's a civic war of words. It's a word war. Mm-hmm. And so the current Mason-Dixon line is the line of the lenses and all of the different narrative strands that break us apart. Mm-hmm. So we're not one nation under source. We're a Legoland of multiple narratives in a fragmented postmodern place where we cluster and find to get identity politics to form your not mobs, but subcultures and groups and communities that can have some voting rights and stand up in numbers. You have to cluster in numbers. Mm-hmm. But here you cluster in Legoland, you cluster in groups. And a cluster is not one nation. Mm. It's not one people. In dialogue, sacred dialogue, where we open to each other. To go from here to here is huge. This transition, die before you die, to let go of privileging your lens and your culture and your narrative and your community and a community of belief, your religion, whatever. Religions can be ideological. Science can be ideological. What is ideology? It's the narrative that you're subscribing to as truth and reality and being, and you don't realize that your lens is participating in that collusion and conspiracy. So those are words that are thrown around. Conspiracy is to breathe together, to share together, to agree, to convention. Let's agree to the conventions. FOMO, we're grouping, we're a group, we're homies. Homies are in collusion, right? And it can become cultic. It doesn't have to be. But it can become like a Jonestown cultic, terrible, right? Loss of the critical human factor of dignity and freedom when you become cultified in culture. But the wonderful thing in the land across from sea to shining sea has such a wonderful spectrum from people who are really suffering in their ignorance and the extreme forms of ideology of whatever kind, right? And lots of people, but there are those who are really a great literacy and their hearts are open and they know we can be better than this. This is not us. But they don't see, well, how do we cross from this America, land of ideology, land of fragmentation and division. You can't be a united nation here. You can't be one nation under here and indivisible. This is highly divisible and ever divided because it's a Legoland. It's ever divisible and differences are irreconcilable. So when you have two ultimate polar parties clustering, let's say in this case, Republicans, Democrats, Independents, wherever you are in this space, right? And however you can mobilize votes, whoever wins or loses are losing because winning is really rising from the broken America. 250 years, we didn't face the colonized situation, right? Removing the external monarchy and keeping the internal autocracy.
And 150 years since Gettysburg Address, which we found was really
We're
amazing.
in a civil war now. Yeah. Are you able to put the... Well,
yes,
let's put up the Gettysburg, because you and I are looking back at the great markers and texts and symbols and icons of our American history, from starting with the Declaration, which we had up before. But when we looked at the national anthem, the Pledge of Allegiance, to the flag, which allegiance? Who's taking the oath of office to be a citizen of the Republic? You follow? We're finding that all of these things that we, as kids growing up, we sing, I pledge allegiance to the flag. Right? We're going to put the words up in a while. Or Gettysburg, there's 4 scores, and we're in a civil war. When you read, and we like to share this, you say, we're in a civil war now. It's not a battle on the battlefield out there. It's the battlefield of narratives, ideological war. And we're broken. We're a divided nation. And the question is, can our flag rise? In this civil war, will the union survive? To form a more perfect union and establish justice, we need to rise. We have to make this move now. And that's the real election. Everyone has to say, we're going to be the co-founders with our forefathers and mothers to honor what they opened for us, to become officers of Sophia and Logos.
And we really do want to show you guys that we're not the first ones to say this, first ones to distill it perhaps in this kind of clear way. We want to reiterate, to call out the Matrix is a big breakthrough, big deal. To call out that deep, as you've been referring to it today, as a virus. I mean, and that's, you know, like
a cultural virus. Yes.
That's no exaggeration. So, but you know, our forefathers and mothers. I always want to give our foremothers credit as well, because we know they were there through all of this. Like our Constitution and the brilliant wording of that, we just delved into the Gettysburg Address, which we'll bring up for you now to read along with us. Amazing what Abraham Lincoln said.
It applies right now. We're in the Civil War we're in now. Can we survive this?
Do you want to be Abe today?
No, you be Abe.
I wanted you to be Abe.
407 years ago.
407 years ago, our fathers brought forth upon this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation, or any nation so conceived and so dedicated, can long endure. We are met on a great battlefield of that war. We have come to dedicate a portion of that field as a final resting place for those who here gave their lives, that that nation might live. It is altogether fitting and proper that we should do this. But in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this ground. The brave men, living and dead, who struggled here, have consecrated it far above our poor power to add or detract. The world will little note nor long remember what we say here, but it can never forget what they did here. It is for us, the living, rather, to be dedicated here to the unfinished work which they who fought here have thus far so nobly advanced. It is rather for us to be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead we take increased devotion to that cause for which they here gave the last full measure of devotion, that we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation under God shall have a new birth of freedom, and the government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth.
Wow.
It's as powerful today as ever. Will the civil war of ideologies and polarities and fragmentation that we've been in since the birth of the Holy Experiment to now, it's raging and it's reached another crisis point. Another Gettysburg Address is needed for a call of the people at this time of election to choose to rise to the State of the Union, to open up the Union of the United States, and to really raise our flag from beyond ideology to the global ecumenical for all people of all walks of life and all talks of life. We Americans in this case, but all humans across the planet. Our symbols have to be recognized for being sacred symbols, not idols, because it gets tattered. The flag has been ripped and tattered across ideologies. The Constitution has been fragmented and tattered in this space of warring ideologies. We cannot survive because democracy is sacred dialogue in diversity, to honor one another. So if you talk about bipartisan and transpartisan, to be one people, we have to rise from monologue and ideology to dialogue. The flag is beyond dialogue. Sacred space is beyond dialogue. The political space is beyond monologue, violent monologue, right? The sacred space of democracy is a space of dialogue, dialogos, right? And beyond ideology. Our religious life is beyond ideology. Our scientific life is beyond ideology. Our love life, our parenting, all aspects of it beyond ideology. That's what I wanted to bring out with you.
And that empowers each of us, every last one of us as citizens, to choose what kind of citizen we want to be. The I-it citizen, which is what's preventing the realizing of United States of America as one example on this planet, or are we going to be a citizen up in this higher space? And what is that deep letting go that we have to allow? We have to be brave. The land of the brave, home of the free, land of the free, home of the brave.
The same thing.
Take it in this way. I mean, you got to be brave. You know, it's almost easier to pass it off on those soldiers that died for us years ago, or the founding fathers, or even today our congressmen and women and our president. And it's easy to kind of put it off, but this requires all of us.
Each of us.
Yes.
We the people that's what democracy, sacred democracy. We are self-governing, and here we're not. Our self-governance is shown to be compromised, and the Declaration of Independence says any form of government that violates this, we've got to revise it. So we've shown now that the current revolution is not against the monarchy, it's against ourselves. It's against this, it's a matrix. All right, the revolution, the evolutionary war, right, is not a non-violent war, it's a war of consciousness awakening, of rationality, right?
And without calling out the matrix, we inevitably end up attacking each other, because, even our voting, I'm just realizing right now as I speak, even our voting is a form of war. Or because now it's like we got to vote and outnumber the others, those others, right? Those others, whether it's Democrats or Republicans or whoever is your other, and we got to win. And there's this whole game being played right here. You think anyone's going to come out a winner? And then we're picketing in the streets, and you can picket here, but what we really need to do is go on strike from this.
This is the ultimate boycott of this.
Yes.
We've got to call a national day out of the single bracket matrix to honor the sacred land. One day.
And then every day after
and
that.
Don't say that.
Sorry, I didn't want to scare you.
If we could let go and dare to spend a day as in brotherly love and sisterly love and human love and love of nature in sacred space, or if we dare to do that and go on a strike right here across the country, and light candles and show love for nature and for each other, I don't think we're going to want to go back. Right? That's a crossing. Yeah. This is a crossing to the promised land that awaits us, our unfinished American Revolution.
Hallelujah. So we have a couple very special treats. I'm going to bring up the something we've all said many, many times, probably most of us in school and a lot of us not since school, the Pledge of Allegiance, which speaks to this point. If we bring the Pledge of Allegiance up into this higher space, we realize we're all taking an oath of office as American citizens, as people, as woke people. And so, as we recite it now, read along with us. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Which flag then? That when you say, I pledge allegiance, what is a pledge? It's an oath. I pledge allegiance, devotion, honoring, right? The flag. Not this flag that's in tatters, but the ones that survives the Civil War. And by the dawn's early light, what so proudly we hailed at the twilight. That's a flag. All our symbols from here to here. So that's an officer. It's a very big thing you say. It's not just that the president takes an oath to uphold the Constitution, or that our representative in Congress, or the judge is taking oath. We all. A citizen is a very high honor. It's an officer of source, an officer of being rational, awakened rational being. I pledge allegiance to Logos, to be an awakened being, to be vigilant and mindful, and honoring sacred ground of this holy land, and nature, and each other, and the multiplicity and our diverse perspectives and cultures, to honor the diversity here, not the fragmented Lego dysfunction here, but the healthy dialogue nation. What a place to be. If you can, as Martin Luther King said, I may not get there with you. We're going to be together, right? He was not just having a silly dream. He was dreaming reality of what is to come, right? And that is what awaits us, and that's what our founding fathers and mothers were dreaming, right? And as I was saying, it's a republic if it can keep it, right? It's being a trust to pass on to the next generation. It's 250 years, dude. It's a republic if you can keep it. But here you can't. You're locked in ideology, battle of narratives and identities, and power plays,
and parties,
and mobs, and gangs, and drug deals, and all kinds of things that are not right in this space, because we're not in ethics, we're not in reason. That's the main thing. What is the ecumenical land? Ecumenical is great. Is it church or state? No, both church and state here have to be risen. Right? Religion, this is sacred. So if you're an ideological religion, you've got to rise. If you're Christian and Christ is calling you, the noble logos in the flesh, right? Then maybe you have to say, maybe I could be a deeper Christian. Christ is deeper. The logos, the law, speaking of love. You follow? So that everyone, even if you're a scientist and you're a lover of truth and cognition and knowledge, and there's a deeper way, a deeper technology. Of all people, scientists who generate such amazing technologies of Hubble telescope to look out at the galaxies, into the space, right? They should most of all take the lead in honoring a technological advance of the highest order, the technology of world making and cognition making and science making, to know what is the technology of being. They should lead and join with the first philosophers and the wisdom. This is beyond ideology. Right? So beyond ideology is die before is the thing. So I think at some point, Nathan, you're going to play a Whitney Houston song, a version of it. Think of the words though. The main thing I hear you and I doing is to be a citizen. How many citizens do we have now? I don't care whether you're naturalized or indigenous or you got your green card or whatever. A citizen is one who really understands that to be a citizen is an officer of the source. Awakened, woke, rational citizen. Unwoke is un-American, American here. It's an officer. You put the law of the land, the dharma, the ethics above your agenda and your. So when you say country first, it doesn't mean country here. It doesn't mean you're not your personal agenda, and personal interest above the land. No, it's higher than that. This first. What it means source first. And all the great spiritual teachings of wisdom, honor first is first. But you can't get to the first place in a derivative space. And that's a tragic situation of our journey. We've got to know first. Right? And that'll be the first country, the first world, the first nation. And if we're going to be modeling for this planet, for all humans, what it looks like to have a true democracy, demos, we the people, in the land of the free and the home of the brave, right? Where the flag waves over the land of the free, right? Then are we doing that? Or are we rather in a pathetic situation, trapped in ideology, wars and battles, narrative struggles, right? With brilliant people, beautiful people here, there's a wide range. I hope we make this clear, that we're not just lumping everyone together. There's a vast range of intelligent forms of awakened literacy, of people who are sensing that we've got, this is not right. Something is not right here, right? God bless, I say God bless America. God bless it. Thank you. We should gather and together rise, each in our own way. Everyone has to, in her own way, say, I am. No one can do that for you. No country can do it for you. No parent can do it for you. Each person, uniquely, as a miracle, has to find the way to say for herself, I am. That's the vote.
That's the vote.
That's the vote.
That's it. And at least for as far as the Star Spangled Banner goes, I've never heard anyone do it even close. No offense to anyone, but this was performed by Whitney Houston back, I think, in '91, and I really hope you enjoy.
It's a great note to end on. To think of the flag here, the land of the free, surviving the Civil War and by the dawn's early light of rising, right? This is where the flag and the people, the home of the brave.
Yes.
I think that says it all.
All right, thank you guys. Thank you, Whitney. And thank you, Abe. And thank you to all of you for joining us. And there will be more on the way.
I just want to say, I hope we convey to all of our friends across the land how beautiful we are, the people, how good, right? And we're not trying to demonize or put anyone down, because we all are of the source, right? And the brilliant frontier thinkers who are already on the cusp. When you watch the news, we just say, yes, say it, you know? So many of our friends across all fields in this beautiful land are ready to face this question. Are we in a colonizing matrix, and is it time to let it go and move together?
I'm glad you said that.
Right, so we want to honor everyone. It's only with love for everyone and reaching out to all our brothers and sisters across this land that we're going to heal this land. Thank you so much for joining us, friends. We're going to continue to take this deeper and deeper and bring in the relics of the future. What seems to be old relics are really relics of the future of what is coming, right? Like the Star-Spangled Banner, and how the Gettysburg Address addresses us now, and how 1776 is more relevant now, calling all of us to rise to officership and fiduciary responsibility to the law and the Constitution. We are all takers of the oath. That's a real citizen. So join us next time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.